Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from wherever and whenever you're chiming in. I am your host, Ayushi Agarwal, a fellow IIM Indore alumni, and I'm very, very thrilled to be hosting this. Whether you're a fellow IIM aspirant or an industry professional, our goal here is to share industry experiences and insights from our fellow alumni and, of course, have some fun. So, without any delay, let's welcome our guest for the day, Shailesh Venkatesh.
Thank you.
Welcome and thank you for doing this with us. Can I please ask you to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Shailesh Venkatesh. I'm a banker. I've been now a banker for over 23 years. And so, along the way, I also discovered that there is more to life than just striving for success. There's another side of your life which is about experiencing joy, experiencing peace, and experiencing that connection with people. And I discovered that through meditation. And this was about 17 years ago when someone actually knocked on my door. He was going for a meditation program and he said, would I like to join? And when I experienced that meditation workshop, I realized suddenly that there was another side of me which was creative, which liked to basically think of life as a wonder. And that side of me had never been tapped before. And through meditation, I could sort of connect to that, peaceful side of me. And connecting to that peaceful side of me also wanted me to make a difference to other people's lives. Because when you are stuck in this rat race of success, you have very little time to basically think about others. But the moment you step out of that rat race and you connect with that peaceful self, then you say, oh, I can make a difference to others. And the joy that I get out of making a difference to someone else is much, much higher than the joy I have gotten out of the achievements or the success that I have seen in life. So my life is defined by these two things. One, of course, achievement is important because that also drives us and gives us a sense of purpose and meaning. But on the other side, I've also made it my purpose to help people find that peace and joy in their lives. So those are the two pillars that actually keep me going. One basically pays the bills and the other gives me joy. Yeah.
So day job is stress and night job is stress buster. Yes. Okay.
Well put.
Thank you. So we'll move on to our rapid fire segment. It's called the one thing that you've learned about. So here we go. Question number one. One thing that you've learned about succeeding in your industry.
Dealing with complexity, dealing with change, and taking people along.
Nice. One thing that you've learned about succeeding in your role.
Being strategic, at the same time being very detail-oriented and being very focused on execution.
One thing that you've learned about relationships.
Be very patient. Treat every relationship as if you were dealing with your customer, and treat relationships with love, because love changes people more than demands.
Very nicely put. One thing that you learned about money, since you're a banker, I mean.
Be disciplined about money and take professional help about saving money. Live within your means, well within your means, reduces a lot of stress. And money is to make a comfortable living. But if money starts chasing pleasure, then probably you don't have purpose in life.
Wow, very nicely put. One thing that you've learned about life in general.
Be 100% whatever you do. Find a way to go deep within and relax and introspect. And don't run away from challenges, because challenges give you depth. And the joy that comes out of after challenges is far more enjoyable.
Okay. And the last question is one thing that you learned about succeeding as a couple.
Again, be very, very committed. Be very patient. And one thing I have learned is when your partner is upset, just let it be. It passes rather than you getting upset.
That's a very nice input. Don't be upset about your partner being upset. All right. So when I say IIM, what is the first memory that comes to your head?
The first memory that comes to my head is, walking onto the campus and seeing all those lakes and the greens and the institute. It was quite a quite an awesome experience. I still remember the first day walking into campus and going into my hostel.
What is your first memory about your first day at campus?
I was not one who had done a lot of research about what to do once you go to campus, which hostel to stay in. I just landed up there, and then I was assigned a hostel. I just walked in there, and when I walked in there, I ran into a couple of guys who happened to be my wing mates, and I got to know them very well for the next few years. So that's really my first memory of walking onto campus and getting to know two people who I still am very closely connected.
My next question is that what is it that you gained from your IIM experience?
So you meet some of the smartest people you ever come across. When I went to the IIM, I basically went in thinking I'm a star and I have arrived in life, and being amongst such smart people was actually a very, very humbling experience. But at the same time, coming through that 2-year journey also gave me a lot of confidence to tackle life.
Actually, it's a side question. That you mentioned that it was a great journey. However, in today's world, people are kind of saying, MBA will become redundant over time. Any thoughts on this topic?
Look, I think one of the things that that institutions and education institutions are not really addressing, they give you a lot of information, they give you a lot of knowledge, but after passing out of IIM Calcutta and feeling great about those couple of years, I realized there was a lot more that I dealt or learned with on the job and dealing with people. A lot of things that they actually don't teach you on campus, right? And I think the curriculum needs to basically go from just being about information to something about human relationships and what really makes a difference in life. Absolutely. And I think that bit, the softer aspects of actually succeeding in life, is what is usually not covered in curriculum, and that's what they need to sort of expand on a bit.
Agreed, because when I came into my workplace, it was nothing like what I've studied about. It was completely different, and it was fairly recently. So,
that's right.
I completely agree with you on that. My last question for this segment is: you've been based in Singapore for quite some time, and we have a great and a large alum base here. So, how do you feel that the IIM community could contribute to Singapore as a nation?
So, I think one of the things that, like I said, is that the IIM experience gives you a very good launching ground. But when you actually come into the workspace, you realize that there's a lot more to success than what you learned on campus. And the IIM community is one of the most successful cohorts, if I may, in society. And people who've had a couple of decades of experience have a lot to offer people in terms of life experiences. People who have succeeded have seen a lot of battles that they have had to overcome. There's a lot of battle wounds, and they could really share their experiences for the younger people so that people can actually become better human beings, better colleagues, better leaders. And this is invaluable. We all basically go about our lives just leading our own lives and succeeding in our own lives. But by giving and making people realize what it takes, I think we can actually create a much better society out here. And there's an opportunity there. And I think we need to sort of come together to make that happen in a much more structured fashion than it does with people just reaching out on their own to connect and learn from each other.
And I think most of the times people get busy, right? They don't have time to respond.
That's right.
And I personally keep looking out for people who would mentor me. And I come across very few individuals who actually respond and give the time. So it's a wonderful thought.
That's right.
You've been a banker for 20 years and you've stuck to the industry for so long, and I'm sure you're highly successful. So what are one of the greatest successes that you've experienced so far, and what would you say were the skill sets or circumstances or nuances that led to it?
Right. I think you learn along the way. One of the things I have realized with my life experience is that you can't always find things to do that you like. You have to like what you do. Yeah, you can't imagine that someone was growing up saying, well, I really want to become this wonderful tax auditor. Who even dreams of becoming a tax auditor, right?
Yeah.
But then there are people out there who are fantastic tax auditors, who really enjoy being a tax auditor, and they find creative ways to basically bring out certain aspects of tax audit which are valuable to other people, right? So no matter what you do, there is an art in everything that you can do. And I have been there when I was younger, being disillusioned with what I'm doing, thinking that, I should be in something much more glamorous, and also tried to make those changes, and then discovered that anything you do, there are things that you will really like about it, and there are things that you will not like about it.
Absolutely.
It is about being 100%, being curious, and finding a way to make a difference, whatever role you play. So now, after almost 25 years since I left campus, I think one of the mantras I adopt in any situation is, whatever situation you come to, leave it better than you found it. And that gives you a lot of purpose and meaning to find creative ways to enjoy whatever you're doing.
Very, very nicely put. But I would still throw a little further. If you were to go back in time and think of that one situation where you felt like, okay, I've achieved something, what would that one situation be?
I think the one situation where I think I felt I achieved something was in a very challenging situation. This was at the height of the financial crisis, and I was let go from the industry, right? And the way I was let go also was not very, very pleasant. And I had been already 10 years in the industry, a decade of working, and my identity was was defined by my designation and the role that I was doing. And suddenly overnight, I was basically looking into a vacuum. But then I took it on my chin. And in those days, I had actually just learned to teach meditation and teach people to deal with stress. So for many months after that, that's what I did. I was just a volunteer helping other people cope with the challenges and the stresses that they were going through. And I myself maintained my equanimity, knowing very well that in the end, I will prevail somehow or the other. And I'm really proud of those days, because I feel that that experience or that challenge gave me a lot of depth. It gave me a lot of opportunity to introspect about who I am and where I really find my joy or my identity from. And I realized that we all play different roles. Some roles may not work very well for a brief period of time, but it's only temporary, and eventually you can sort of bounce back.
So great success with finding your own self.
Yes, that's right.
Lovely. Well, there is no success without failure. So what is that one biggest failure you feel you faced, and how did you come out of it?
Yeah. I think the other thing I would like to talk about is relationships, right? Sometimes we kind of fail in our relationships. We sometimes take people who are close to us for granted. More often than not. Because we're all busy chasing our dreams, and then we just overlook and neglect the people sort of closest to us. And that has happened also in my life. Nothing catastrophic happened, but of course, there came a point in my life, when I felt that the relationship with my wife had just become very mechanical, taken for granted. We were just both pursuing what we were doing in our lives. And then there came a moment in our life when we sort of felt, wow, this is not the way it should be, right? And I personally made a conscious choice to show more commitment, to show more love, and to show more understanding, right? And I think until that particular point in time, I had failed in my relationship, and I felt I hadn't given enough. And when I realized that this is a very, very important relationship, and there is someone who has actually made that commitment to you, and you have made that commitment to that person, and that person has actually left everything in their life to be with you, left all other relationships and made this the most important relationship of their life, you've got to give it to it. And it's a relationship for life.
Right.
You actually need to make it work. And the joy is in making it work. And the joy is in finding understanding. And I think I failed. I fell off a cliff at one point in time, and I learned to climb back up. and really build a very beautiful relationship.
That's lovely. Like most people don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Leave alone like working on it. My next question is: we've talked about success, we've talked about failure, but then something extracurricular. I know you talked about meditation, and you told us how you like to help other people deal with stress. But anything other than career, money, business construct.
Yeah, so I think we all spend a lot of time on our career. We spend a lot of time on making money. But then, as you can see, the world is going through a difficult period.
Yeah.
Whether it is sustainability, whether it is excess consumption, whether it is stress, all of those things. And why is that happening? Because people are on this treadmill and they are all very caught up in their own success.
Yeah.
And sometimes we are unable to find that time to see how can I make the environment around me a bit better, right? And so that's why I really believe that meditation is something that everybody should
I know it
practice.
personally.
Yeah.
That's helped me.
Yes. So
Yeah.
when you actually meditate, what you do is you take a pause. You step away for a little while. You stop playing all those roles that you are playing, and in those moments, you actually get the insight about how you can make a difference in someone else's life.
Yeah.
Because when you are just caught up in doing what you have to do for success and achievement, you are in a sort of a very confined space. But when you step out of it, you can actually take the time, take the pause to go out there and make a difference, right? And that's really been my learning in life, that everybody needs to meditate, not to just succeed or do well. Actually, when you basically do meditation, when you take a pause, you actually expand your horizons, you expand your perspective of how well or how better you can use your talents to contribute to society.
I personally agree with it because I've been meditating for a long time and it helps. Like it
Yes.
really helps. It helps you go through any situation. Looking back on everything, if you think about that, in retrospect, that if I had to do things differently or, any caveats around that, so that the listeners could, kind of listen in and gain from your experiences, and you'd say, this is what I would have done differently, or this is what I would advise others to do, something on that aspect.
Yeah. So again, these are lessons or principles or practices that I have learned I should follow. And I wasn't like this all the time. The first thing is prioritize. There's so much, and you need to have clarity to be able to prioritize. Otherwise, you are being led by life on a path which, after many years, you discover this is not where I wanted to end up.
Isn't that everybody do?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's right. Yeah. So that's why it needs to be, even if you think, okay, this is what I'm doing right now, be clear that, why you're doing that. Right? The second important thing is, while you prioritize, the only way you can prioritize is you are also able to let go.
Yeah.
You have to be able to let go of certain things, because you can't basically catch on to something valuable if you're constantly clenching your fists all the time, right? You've got to let go what you have in your hand so that bigger opportunities come. A lot of people are very afraid to let go, and that's why they just go down one single path.
Yeah.
The third important thing is, build character. When I say character, people talk about building muscle and strength and fitness and so on. All that also builds character. Apart from that, basically also build resilience, right? Patience. All of those strengths that are within us, but cultivated even more. The fourth thing is, I think, humility. You will never know everything, and there will be someone out there who knows something more than you. And nobody, however good they are, they can never claim to be the best in the world, right? So have that kind of humility. The last thing is, I think, find purpose by making a difference, because if you're not finding purpose by making a difference, then after a while, life becomes a tragedy. And I never did all this all my life, and I think I've learned these things over time and to apply that consciously.
Yes. That's really good. My last question is, all that you've shared, anything else that you'd like to kind of share with the audiences?
Yeah, so I think my mantra is, one is, invest in yourself, take care of yourself. That's your own personal journey, whether in terms of learning, in terms of, like I said, meditation. That's very important. The second is value your relationships, your connections, but be very careful about those connections that uplift you, right? And the third thing is use your talents for others. Your talent was given so that you can help others and not just for yourself. So those are three things.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's it for today's episode. Thank you for chiming in and signing out with Shailesh Venkatesh.